How much money is now on the table? Yeah, $5 million just on this table. Amid the economic uncertainty of the past few years, more and more people and businesses have been looking for reliable ways to protect their wealth. That is why many are turning to financial assets that act as stores of value like gold, Bitcoin as bonds, commodities, and of course precious stones. In fact, in several countries, there are exchanges where natural gems are traded with the same seriousness as stocks or precious metals. But have you ever stopped to wonder where these stones actually come from? Where exactly are they found? Depending on where you live, there might be precious gems hidden in your own region, and you might have never noticed one. An example: this man is about to open a rock that looks completely ordinary on the outside, but you won't believe what's inside. My god, do you see that? A dull, boring stone on the outside that was actually hiding a real gem inside. Now, look at this other case. What you are seeing here is a rock called kimberlite. It is one of the most well-known host rocks for diamonds, and yes, that little shiny spot embedded in it is a raw diamond. This is proof that nature hides its treasures in simple and often misleading packaging. So the big question is, how can you identify the rocks that hide precious gems? That is exactly what you are going to learn in this video. We are going to talk about 5 types of common rocks that might be in your path every day, but inside them could be valuable crystals like emeralds, tourmalines, topazes, and even diamonds. And we are not talking about large industrial mines. We are talking about discoveries made by regular people just like you and me, who knew how to spot the right signs. The truth is, many of the most valuable gemstones in the world started out this way, ugly on the outside, but hiding something truly special on the inside. And that is why, if you usually ignore rocks while walking near a river or even in your own backyard, you might have already missed a small fortune without knowing it. Experienced prospectors already know what most people have never heard: precious stones do not appear clean or shiny like the ones we see in jewelry stores. They are born in secret, protected inside other rocks. That protective shell is what we call a host rock. It is a natural capsule of heat, pressure, and time that keeps the crystal safe until someone breaks it open. For those who see gem hunting as a hobby or even a future opportunity, knowing how to identify these rocks is like holding a treasure map in your hands. And you don't need to be a geologist or have expensive tools. Many of the biggest gems ever found were discovered by simple people using nothing but curiosity, patience, and a sharp eye. In fact, some of the most common rocks in the Earth's crust, like the ones found on hiking trails, riverbanks, hills, or even empty lots, can actually contain valuable gems. And today, we are going to show you exactly how to recognize them. In this video, we will reveal the secrets behind 5 types of rocks that most people walk over every day without realizing what might be inside. We will teach you how they form, how to identify them in nature, and which precious stones are usually hidden inside each one. Because once you learn how to read these signs, you will no longer be just a curious observer. You will be ready to become a true gemstone explorer. So before you ignore the next rock on your path, make sure to watch this video all the way through, because maybe, just maybe, what you find inside could change your life. And this video is a thank you for helping us reach 100,000 subscribers. We truly appreciate everyone who believed in our project and supported us on this journey. But what exactly is a host rock, and where do they come from? Without this knowledge, a lot of things wouldn't make sense. After all, how can a diamond end up inside a solid rock like kimberlite? To start the right way, every host rock is basically the birthplace of precious stones. Think of it as a natural, safe structure that protects the gem while it forms over millions of years. Of course, in the beginning, they are not solid like the ones we find in nature, and unlike what many people think, these rocks are not all the same. Some have volcanic origins, others are the result of metamorphism, and some are formed from the slow accumulation of sediments over time. What they all have in common is that they hold the right chemical elements under the ideal conditions of temperature and pressure to allow a precious crystal to grow inside. That's why finding a gemstone lying on the ground or in a river is just part of the story. It might mean nothing at first glance, but before it got to your hands, it had to form inside a host rock. And when you learn how to identify those rocks, your chances increase a lot, because you start looking where the gems are actually born. Some host rocks like pegmatite are true crystal nurseries. Their internal cavities can contain green tourmalines, blue topazes, golden beryls, and even aquamarine. Others like basil are formed from solidified lava. Even though they appear dense and dark, they can hold small olivines, or in specific areas, even diamonds. Schist formed through intense metamorphism is one of the main natural hosts of emeralds, and there is also conglomerate, a mixture of fragments from Several rocks where luck and geology come together to deliver diamonds mixed with gravel. But it's not just about the type of rock. What really matters is what that rock has gone through. Rocks that have been subjected to high-pressure large geological shifts or chemical transformations are more likely to contain rare minerals. Time is also a key factor. The older the geological formation, the more opportunity it had to allow slow and steady crystal growth, which is essential for the stone to have commercial value. What's interesting is that many times the host rock looks nothing like the gemstone it protects. While the gem may be shiny, translucent, and symmetrical, the surrounding rock is dull, irregular, and even rough to the touch. This often fools the untrained eye, but gives a clear signal to those who know what to look for. So if you're interested in the world of gemstones, your perspective needs to shift. Instead of looking directly for polished stones, what you really need is to learn how to spot the raw packaging that nature uses to hide them. And for each type of package, nature has chosen a special kind of gem to go inside. Now, let's talk about the first host rock you need to know, one of the most common on the planet yet also one of the most misunderstood: basalt. You've probably seen basalt around without realizing it is found on the dark slopes of some mountains in rocky volcanic terrain, or forming natural steps in regions with ancient ground. Its color is usually dark, ranging from gray to deep black, and its texture can go from smooth to porous depending on how and where it formed. What few people know is that basalt was once liquid lava. That's right, it comes directly from volcanic eruptions that happened millions of years ago. When molten magma reaches the surface and cools rapidly, it solidifies and forms basalt, and during this process, nature can quietly lock away some of its rarest treasures. Among the most well-known gemstones associated with basalt is olivine, also known as peridot. When used in jewelry, it has an olive green tone that stands out easily when exposed inside cracks or cavities. These stones form inside vesicles, which are tiny air bubbles left behind in the rock during the lava cooling process. But olivine is not the only one. In certain regions with very ancient basalt, there have been reports of diamonds, especially when this basalt is linked to kimberlite or lumpy pipes that pushed up from deep within the earth's crust. These diamonds usually appear in raw form with opaque or slightly translucent crystals, and their value can vary a lot depending on clarity, size, and color. We'll talk more about that later. Basalt can also contain accessory minerals that, under the right geological conditions, develop into gemstones. This includes spinel, which can appear in vivid red or pink shades in altered volcanic environments. Though it's more rare, there's also zircon, which isn't exactly a gemstone directly tied to basalt, but can occur in nearby terrain where basalt has gone through hydrothermal changes. Zircon may appear with high brilliance in a range of colors from colorless to blue, orange, or brown. So even though basalt looks simple and common, it can hide a surprising variety of gems, especially in places with a history of deep volcanic activity or where signs of hydrothermal transformation are present. In practical terms,
if you live in a region with traces of past volcanic activity or where the soil has a high presence of dense, dark rocks, it's worth paying attention. Gems might be visible in cracks or inclusions, but they can also be completely enclosed in the stone. Rock meaning you'll need to break it or examine it using simple tools. And by the way, you can learn exactly how to do that safely with the test we explain in our full guide. One more important tip is density. Basalt is a heavy rock for its size. If you're holding a dark stone with a smooth, slightly porous surface that feels heavier than it looks, there's a good chance it might be basalt. And if you're in the right area, that rock might be carrying much more than just its appearance suggests. If basalt is a dark and mysterious rock, pegmatite is the opposite. It is a light colored rock full of contrast with an appearance that already seems to hint that something is hidden inside. And most of the time it really is. Pegmatite is a type of igneous rock just like granite, but with one crucial difference: it forms during the final stage of magma cooling, when rare elements, light materials, water, and gases become more concentrated. This creates the perfect environment for the growth of large, well-defined, and often extremely valuable crystals that alone would make pegmatite a special rock. But in truth, many geologists and prospectors consider it one of the most productive host rocks in the world when it comes to gemstones. Inside pegmatite, you can find an impressive variety of gems. Here are some of the main ones. Let's start with tourmalines, which are perhaps the most iconic crystals found in this type of rock. They can appear in shades of green, pink, blue, red, yellow, and even in multicolored versions like the highly sought-after watermelon tourmaline, which has a pink center and green edges. Depending on their chemical composition and color, some tourmalines can reach very high values in the market. Another highlight is topaz, especially the colorless light blue and imperial varieties with that deep golden yellow tone. These crystals form in pegmatite cavities, often growing to impressive sizes with sharp and clean edges. Then there are beryls, a group that includes stones like blue aquamarine, yellow helioid, colorless gold, and of course green emerald, while emeralds are more commonly found in metamorphic rocks like schist. Some pegmatites can also contain them, especially in contact zones with other formations. Quartz also shows up frequently, but not the simple milky kind in pegmatites. It is common to find highly transparent quartz, sometimes with golden rutile inclusions, or even forming smoky pink or light amethyst crystals in smaller quantities. And if that wasn't enough, pegmatite often contains feldspar and lepidolite. These minerals are not valuable gems by themselves, but they serve as excellent indicators that you are dealing with a pegmatite. They work as guide minerals out in the field. The appearance of pegmatite is easy to recognize. It is usually a light-colored rock with visible crystals mixing white, beige, pink, and gray sometimes. It looks like a collage of minerals pressed together in a single piece. The presence of large interlocked crystals is the clearest sign that you are looking at a pegmatite, but keep this in mind, not all pegmatites will show gemstones on the surface. Many hide their crystals inside small cavities called bugs. These are only revealed when the rock is broken open or when natural erosion exposes the interior. So if you find a light rock with coarse grain and irregular sparkle, pay attention. You might be holding a piece of one of the richest geological environments for gemstones. Here is one more tip. If you are in a region known for lithium or tantalum deposits, your chances of finding pegmatites rich in crystals go up a lot. That is because many of these minerals are tied to rare pegmatitic environments where the soil acts like a mineral diversity capsule. In the end, pegmatite is every gem hunter's dream. Out of all the rocks on our list, this might be the one that looks the most unremarkable at first glance, but in reality, it holds some of the most sought-after crystals on the planet, and you're about to understand why. What makes schist so special is the fact that it's a metamorphic rock. That means it didn't form directly from magma, like basalt, or from the final stage of cooling like pegmatite. Instead, it started as a simpler rock, usually clayey, which was slowly transformed by heat and pressure over millions of years. The result is this layered rock you see on your screen. It's made of thin sheets that look like compressed leaves or fragile plates, and it's exactly the slow and deep transformation that creates the perfect conditions for gemstones to form. The most famous one is emerald. Without a doubt, many of the world's most valuable emeralds were found in contact zones between schist and pegmatite, where beryllium-rich fluids move through the rock layers and crystallize slowly. Emeralds that form in schist usually have a deep green color and natural inclusions that reveal their origin, which makes them even more valuable to collectors. But schist isn't just about emeralds. It can also contain garnets, which appear in shades from deep red to brown. These often show up as small, rounded crystals wedged between the layers of the rock. Depending on the variety, garnets can be quite valuable, especially if they are translucent and well-formed. Another mineral that can form in schist is kyanite, known for its vibrant blue color and elongated crystals. It has an unusual feature: it scratches differently depending on the direction of the cut, making it a real challenge for gem cutters, but also a rare prize for those who find it. In some formations, you might even find an alasite. This gem shifts colors depending on the angle of light, going from greenish to reddish tones. These stones are less familiar to the general public, but they are highly valued by gemologists and lapidaries. In certain cases, even quartz with rare inclusions like rutile or tourmaline can appear trapped in the fissures of schist. These combinations are rare and usually form in areas where the rock went through extra chemical changes, which boost both their rarity and value. Visually, schist is easy to overlook. It often has dark tones, a flaky texture, and sometimes a slight metallic shine, but behind that simple appearance is one of the best signs that you're in a geologically active and potentially gem-rich area if you're in a mountainous region. Near fault zones or in a place with a history of tectonic movement, pay close attention. Schist is almost always found in these areas, and where there's schist, there's a real chance you'll find gems that were born deep in the earth under extreme pressure. But if you're hoping to find something truly special, there's one rock we need to talk about. It's time to introduce one of the most mysterious and at the same time most sought-after rocks in the world of gem hunting: kimberlite. The name might sound complicated, but if you're dreaming of finding a diamond, this is the one name you need to remember. Kimberlite is an intrusive igneous rock. That means it forms when magma rises from the deepest parts of the earth and solidifies before reaching the surface, and we're not talking about shallow depths. The magmas that form kimberlite originate over 150 kilometers beneath the Earth's crust. That's the exact zone where natural diamonds form under extremely high pressure and temperature. That's why kimberlite is considered the primary host rock for diamonds. It acts like a geological elevator carrying diamonds from deep underground to shallower layers of the crust where they can be found. Sometimes they remain trapped inside the rock. Other times they're released into the soil or collected in secondary deposits, but not every kimberlite contains diamonds. Only certain types, known as diamondiferous kimberlite, have the right geological conditions to protect the crystals. During their long journey to the surface, knowing how to tell the difference is exactly what separates casual hobbyists from prepared gem hunters. Visually, kimberlite can look a bit messy. Its color may range from grayish-green to bluish or greenish tones. It has a porphyritic texture, meaning a fine-grained matrix with larger embedded mineral fragments in some samples. You can spot altered olivine mica ilmenite peroxides and other dark minerals that help shape its structure. The key detail is that kimberlite usually appears in tubular formations called kimberlite pipes. These structures resemble upside-down funnels, narrow at the bottom and wider near the surface. In areas that have been studied, these pipes are where many of the world's largest diamond mines are located, including in South Africa, Russia, Canada, and even parts of the United States. In addition to diamonds, kimberlite can also contain chrome spinel garnets, chromite, and ilmenite. These are known as indicator minerals. Geologists use them to identify promising terrain. So if you find one of these minerals in the field, even without seeing a diamond right away, it's a strong sign you're close to something valuable. Another interesting thing about kimberlite is how it behaves over time. As it erodes, it releases its diamonds and indicator minerals into the surrounding environment. That's why gem hunters look for these clues on surface soils, river gravels, and even on hilltops where the original kimberlite has already broken down. In practical terms, if you live in an area with signs of deep volcanism or ancient stable terrains like cratons, it's worth investigating. A greenish rock with an irregular look, dark fragments, and a rough texture might be much more than just a random stone. It could be your entry point into the world of diamonds, and it's exactly that lack of sparkle, that raw and even ugly appearance that makes kimberlite go unnoticed by so many people. Now imagine this: you come across a strange rock filled with little embedded pebbles sitting in the middle of a dry valley. Could it be hiding a diamond, or better yet, would you know how to recognize a rock that might hold multiple gemstones at the same time, even if none of them are visible on the surface? Well, that's exactly what happens with conglomerate. This type of rock often looks like natural concrete from the outside. In this case, it's a bit lighter in color. You can see rounded pebbles stuck in the surface, along with fragments of crystals that came from all kinds of other rocks, including diamonds, garnets, and even topaz. Take a look at these dark little stones we collected here. The most interesting part is that this rock doesn't form deep underground. It doesn't need high heat or extreme pressure. Its formation is completely different. Conglomerate is a mixture that forms right at the surface through the natural action of time and erosion. When gemstones break loose from their host rocks like kimberlite schist or pegmatite, they're carried away by rain rivers and downhill slopes. Eventually, these fragments settle in specific places over time. They're naturally cemented together, forming a new rock. That's what gives conglomerate its name, and the coolest part is that it tells the geological story of the entire region. If you find conglomerate near a bend in an old river that has dried up, or at the bottom of a valley or slope, there's a good chance it collected valuable stones from all around. It's like a natural filter that kept only what could stand the test of time. You know those viral videos where someone breaks open a boring rock and reveals something shiny inside? Most of those are fake, made for satisfying content, but sometimes that kind of thing is real. The gemstone ended up there because the surrounding ground already carried diamonds, zircons, garnets, or spinel, and the conglomerate acted like a natural trap. One a real example in parts of the United States and Africa. Gem hunters have found alluvial diamonds inside blocks of conglomerate. Alongside those diamonds were orange zircons, tiny red garnets, and even bits of topaz, all stuck together in one piece of sedimentary rock. These blocks are often broken down and processed by industrial machines. But amateur gem hunters can do this too. That makes it even more exciting because conglomerate can show up where you least expect it, on an eroded cliff face by the side of an old road or in the dry bed of a stream. But the question is, would you know how to identify it visually? It's one of the easiest rocks to recognize. It usually looks like a solid mass filled with small, rounded stones of various colors. You'll see white, black, brown, red, and sometimes even purple. The matrix can be light or dark, depending on the local soil, but the pattern is always the same. It looks like a puzzle made of natural fragments pressed together. So here's the million-dollar question: when was the last time you looked closely at a rock like that? Because without realizing it, you may have kicked one of these aside and ignored a valuable gemstone that was just waiting for someone who knew what to look for. If this kind of rock shows up in your area, especially in sloped terrain, old gravel beds, or exposed sedimentary layers, pay close attention. The next diamond you find might not come from a kimberlite pipe. It could be locked inside a block of conglomerate. Now, let's imagine that after watching this video, you went out exploring and found a shiny crystal with a metallic sparkle. It feels heavier than it should be for its size. At first glance, it looks just like a gemstone. So the question is, did you find a diamond? There are many ways to figure that out. Some are complex and others require expensive equipment to get accurate results, but they can help you avoid being tricked by buyers who try to pay you pennies for something truly valuable. So is it possible to identify gemstones using simple home methods? Think about it. What's the point of finding one of these rocks, spotting the signs, and even uncovering a beautiful crystal if, in the end, you don't even know what you're holding? The truth is, finding the stone is only half the journey. The real value is knowing how to identify what you found. Many subscribers of this channel have already left comments or reached out through the members area saying they found something strange, something beautiful or unusual, but were afraid to break it, didn't know what to do with it, or worse, sold it for nothing without realizing what it was really worth. Unfortunately, this happens all the time, and you don't need to go through that. That's why we created the ebook Gemology Journey for Beginners. It was designed specifically to help beginners who are just getting started in the world of gemstones. In this guide, you'll learn how to build your own collection, identify your samples, and recognize when you're holding an emerald, a garnet, a topaz, a tourmaline, or even a raw diamond. Right now, the digital version is available to all channel subscribers with lifetime access, including all future updates at no extra cost. It also comes with a 7-day satisfaction guarantee, and you can get it today for just $9.99 by clicking the first link in the description or the pinned comment below. And that's not all. On the 25th of next month, we're launching the updated physical edition of Gemology Journey for Beginners, ready to ship. That's right, You'll be able to hold the complete guide with images, clear descriptions, and simple tests that make identifying your gemstones easy and confident, so you won't need anyone else to tell you what you found. It's ideal for both beginners and those who have found something and want to be sure of what they're looking at. All of this was only possible because the channel reached a milestone that honestly I never imagined when we started. 100 subscribers, 100,000 people who chose to learn, explore, and search for their own treasures. If you're one of them, thank you so much for being part of this journey. In addition, I would like to express my profound gratitude to all the channel members who provide continuous backing for this initiative on a monthly basis. You help transform this content into something much bigger thanks to this amazing community that values knowledge and shares the same curiosity. Today we have more complete videos, exclusive materials, and even a physical book. We're even inspiring other content creators like our channel partner Ezekiel's Precious Finds, who helps you search for precious metals like gold. All of this is here to help you on your own journey. But if now isn't the right time for the ebook or to become a member, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure to subscribe to our channel and enjoy the next videos for free right here on the side. There's a video that shows how to identify valuable stones right in your backyard. Yes, it's possible. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Good luck, Gem Hunter.